I supposed to get across this? Are you serious?
Flood watches, and New York Governor Kathy Hochul has declared a state of emergency.
Now look at this video. I mean, a lot of streets, highways, they've just turned into rivers. And here in New York City, officials say every single subway line has been impacted with significant flooding on some train lines. We have a team covering this flash flooding event. NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns tracking the latest forecast. But first, NBC News correspondent George Solis here in New York City. George, I got to say, I see you standing outside 30 Rock. I took the subway in this morning. It was like coffee-colored water just kind of lining a lot of the subway platforms. What are you seeing? I mean, what's the current situation here in Manhattan?
Yeah, good afternoon, guys. It's basically just that. It's ugly. It's ugly. It's not pretty. You see a lot of people walking around here outside 30 Rock. Many of them probably not being able to take the subway or other forms of transportation, as it's all been impacted as a result of this rain. Now, for a moment there was a bit of a reprieve, but obviously no way, in no shape, way, or form was it to get people into a false sense of security, because this rain is continuing, and it is expected to continue. Some parts of the city seeing already as much as 5 inches of rain. This is why the governor has declared that state of emergency, heeding people to stay home, to not be out if they don't have to be. And of course, we are watching some of those videos coming in of some of those rising floodwaters. We know some roofs have collapsed, parts of Brooklyn. We know there's already flooding in homes, and this is obviously just going to continue as the afternoon and into the evening and into tomorrow. So the messaging here is take this very seriously, because obviously, as we have seen time and time again, this water can be potentially dangerous and deadly, guys.
Yeah, this really is the #1 deadly weather event when you see this, because people underestimate the power of the water. What's the situation at the airports right now, and how does this state of emergency declaration help people right now?
Yeah, so we've seen already some remarkable video out of LaGuardia, Terminal A, with just floodwaters rising. And so, again, this is the messaging that we're just going to see these waters starting to increase. These states of emergency obviously help get some of these state resources and assets in place. Governor already saying that a lot of those assets were already mobilized in anticipation of what was expected to be a very significant weather event. So obviously, as this all plays out, we'll see more of those resources mobilized, and obviously, should the time come, even some aid for some of the rebuilding that may be as a result of some of the damage this flooding causes, guys.
Yeah, really important story. NBC News correspondent George Solis, thank you for bearing the elements for us. We appreciate it.
Let's bring in NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns. Bill, this sort of came out of nowhere for a lot of us. How long is it going to stick around? When will we start to see some of this water receding?
Yeah, this forecast got a lot worse in the last 48 hours. As of yesterday, we were like, uh-oh, we're in trouble. And it all materialized this morning. We do have flash flood warnings that are still up for much of the 4 of the 5 boroughs. The only one out of that is Staten Island. Now we're extending those flash flood warnings up here into Westchester and also into areas of southern Connecticut. Nassau County also still under a flash flood watch. And it's a small area of very intense rain. It just happens to be where millions of people live, where it's almost all concrete or sidewalks, where the runoff just heads straight into the drainage systems, which couldn't handle these rainfall rates. So Central Park has had over 5 inches of rain since midnight. This makes it the 9th rainiest day already in 154 years. That's roughly 54,000 days of keeping records in Central Park. And now September is already the 5th rainiest month we've ever recorded, and it's still pouring in the area. So here's over the last 6 hours. You can see all the heavy rain moving up to the north. You can see Central Park still under some heavy downpours now, but a lot of the focus is going to be on areas of Connecticut and Long Island as we go throughout the evening. Still, guys, an additional inch or two on top of the mess we've already seen. Some areas will come close to 10 inches when we're all said and done.
Wow. Bill, what are people sort of expected to do given all of this? How are they expected to navigate just in the next, 24 hours?
Well, when we get flash flooding, it comes up and then it comes back down in a hurry. So a lot of areas, and like in Brooklyn, where we've already had as much as 7 to 8 inches of rain, we've seen all the pictures and the videos of just water on, people on buses with their feet up in the air because water's inside. A lot of those water levels have already dropped. Subways underground, it's going to take a little longer to get the water out of there, especially if any areas require pumps. So things will slowly improve this evening. Everything should be back to normal as long as there wasn't too much damage done tomorrow. The biggest concern for life and property right now is anyone in basements. That's the biggest concern, and I know there are rescues ongoing because of that.
Oof. All right, NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns, thank you so much, Bill.
Thanks so much, Fabian and the entire team and New Yorkers for understanding how this rain condition that we are experiencing is something that we cannot take lightly, and we have not taken lightly. This morning, I was out visiting East New York, Flatbush, Canarsie, and Sheepshead Bay to get a firsthand look at the impact of the rainfall and what it is doing to moving around the city. I spoke with Governor Hochul, who's here with us today. I want to thank you, Governor, for once again responding immediately and seeking out whatever help we need as a city, and I really appreciate communicating with you this morning. I am issuing a state of an emergency for New York City based on the weather conditions, and I want to say to all New Yorkers, this is time for heightened alertness and extreme caution. If you are home, stay home. If you are at work or school, shelter in place for now. Some of our subways are flooded, and it's extremely difficult to move around the city. Many of our area airports are experiencing delays, and if you are out and encounter a flooded area, be it on a roadway or a subway station, do not enter. Take necessary precaution. This is a dangerous weather condition, and it is not over. And I don't want those gaps in heavy rain to give the appearance that it is over. It is not. We could possibly see 8 inches of rain before the day is over. Our city is already taking action to protect all New Yorkers, including rescuing those in need of help. There was an issue on the Belt Parkway by the Ocean Parkway exit. Those are the types of roadway conditions we're asking New Yorkers to avoid. Every single one of our agencies has an emergency plan, and we are executing those plans. We're ready, and you should be to be prepared for this moment. Commissioner Isco from New York City Emergency Management will provide more detailed updates to us on the situation throughout the city. This is a time for caution, but it's also a time for community. Check on neighbors, do whatever is possible to unclog drain areas to allow the water to flow freely. You would be surprised how if we remove leaves and other trash from those areas, it will really assist in getting water off our streets. Check on your friends, your relatives, and especially those who are most vulnerable, such as the elderly and individuals with health conditions. If the conditions are safe, take time, as I indicated, to clean out the debris from your drains, particularly in between the heavy rainfall. And for the most accurate and timely updates, sign up for Notify NYC. This is a moment to remind everyone of how important Notify NYC is. Those alerts go a long way to keep you ahead of what is happening. You could dial 311 or visit nyc.gov/notify to subscribe. That's nyc.gov/notify to subscribe. And you can also call 311. Being informed is the first step toward ensuring the well-being of you and your family and your fellow New Yorkers. And again, I want to thank the entire team for their quick response and understanding that this is an extreme emergency extreme emergency condition that we must be prepared for. I want to turn it over to Governor Hochul. Governor, again, thanks so much. It was good talking to you this morning and your quick response to what is happening in our city area. Really appreciate it.
We'll be monitoring conditions 24/7, and officials say crews have been deployed to strategic locations so they can respond quickly to any flooding. Now, there are a number of delays throughout the morning. We were checking on those. We do know that the M train, the F train, they're seeing a lot of delays. The 6 train in the Bronx as well. So if you can, make sure to check the MTA app or whatnot. Their X account as well is doing a good job of tweeting out delays as they happen. So make sure to check check that out before you come, get to where you have to be, because this rain is not letting up and it's definitely causing delays at stations throughout the city. Now we're going to continue to keep you updated, but for now, that is the latest from Washington Heights. Dania Maldonado, CBS News, New York.
Dania, and I know you've been down on the subway to take a look in conditions right behind you. How are they doing so far?
Well, here specifically, Mary, at 157th Street Station, it's dry down there. Now, we do know that this station had flooded really heavily about 2 years back, and the MTA said they did put in, I believe, their backflow preventers, which basically are supposed to help keep the water, get the water out to reduce the flooding. And then it prevents the water from kind of seeping back in. So maybe that is one of the reasons why this station has not flooded just yet. We are seeing flooding at a number of other stations, as we mentioned, the F line, the M train here in the Bronx as well. So it's definitely situation varies depending on the station. So that's why I want to urge people to make sure they check before they head out the door.
All right, Dania Maldonado. Moving. Dania Maldonado is live with the latest on the rails as the rain threatens the subway system. Dania.
Mary and Cindy, well, you've been checking in with us throughout the morning, and this rain has just not stopped or let up. It's very on and off, very heavy. Now, we're here at the 157th Street station because this station is known for flooding during heavy rainfall such as this, although we went down there and there wasn't any flooding, surprising, at this hour, but that could easily change. There are a number of delays. We'll get to that in a second. I want to show you what the roads are looking like out here. This is West 157th Street in Washington Heights. And you can just see there are just inches on the roadways. Everyone here is taking it pretty slow. I did see somebody, lose control actually about an hour ago driving out here. So definitely dangerous conditions, as Hannah was mentioning, and the rain is just coming down heavy. It's coating these roadways, and it's around 10:30 this morning, and it's only going to continue to get worse as the day goes on, so definitely want to be safe out here. Now, once again, we came out to the 157th Street station because it's known to be flooding. Now, the MTA says it will be paying extra close attention to stations as such during this storm. In fact, storm inspections were done on all flood-prone stations yesterday. Crews were here at the one-line station.
Add to headaches to your morning commute, whether you're driving or you're taking the trains.
All right, Robert Moses, he's on the road. Everybody be careful. He's in Rosedale, Queens right now.
Rosanna and Bianca, I want to show you the view out our window. This is Brookdale Boulevard in Rosedale, and you can see how deep the water is here. These cars are driving through sort of at their peril, and we haven't seen anyone stall out just yet, but the water is so deep that it's covering almost their entire tire. So this is a good time to remind you of that age-old adage, turn around, don't drown. Don't go through deep water like this because you never quite know how deep it is. You could easily stall out. This Jeep is going too fast, so do be careful if you encounter water like this. No matter how you're getting around today, whether it's by vehicle or by mass transit, it will be difficult, so budget extra time. The MTA says it is prepared for all eventualities today. We've all seen those viral videos of water cascading into subway stations when rain falls heavily like this. We may see those scenes repeated today, but yesterday the MTA allowed us some access and showed us workers actually putting water into the drainage system to test it out and make sure that there are no issues or the issues can be minimized today. The goal is to keep people moving either by bus or by train at least as much as possible through these very adverse conditions. Here's what MTA Chair and CEO Jenna Lieber had to say about what is shaping up to be a very serious weather situation.
No matter what we do, there is going to be water in the subway system. We all know that gravity is going to do its thing. The good news is the system is designed to take water and to pump it out in huge amounts.
And so the goal today is to, again, keep people moving, whether it's by train or by bus. And if the trains get stopped for any reason, the buses will pick up the slack. There are also crews as well as equipment pre-positioned on the MTA's commuter rail lines, including the LIRR and Metro North. Again, live look at Brookville Boulevard here in Rosedale, Queens, as these cars traverse very, very deep water. I already heard a report of at least 3 inches of rain at JFK Airport, which is very close to where we are. So if the rain continues with this intensity, we could have some really serious totals by the time this is all said and done. We will continue to monitor conditions for you this morning, but if you do venture out, go very carefully as you see.
Great to our weatherman, Derek Van Dam. Derek, happy Friday to you. A not so happy Friday in New York. What should people commuting, trying to get home before this all happens, what do they need to watch for?
Not going to be inundated, currently being inundated. That's what they're going to wake up to this morning. People actually in New York City, they get an early start to their day in the Big Apple. And this is what they're contending with. You can see a few people walking across Times Square. And clearly Manhattan is waterlogged at the moment because today we have the potential for minor to moderate flash flooding. So this is the latest from the Weather Prediction Center. We have a level 3 of 4 for the potential of excessive rain leading to flash flooding. This includes Long Island, parts of New Jersey, into Connecticut, and into the city of New York. And this is an area that obviously we have some of the largest population densities, so we don't want to see flash flooding take place. But that is the threat that we are waking up to this morning. So the very active radar at the moment, there's the I-95 corridor. We zoom in a little bit closer and show you, here's the watches. That is a flash flood warning that includes Nassau, Kings, and parts of Queens County. This encompasses roughly 2.3 million people, and it does not include New York County. So just outside of the Manhattan region, that is because the radar estimated heaviest rainfall band that's set up overnight, really over that western section of Long Island. So let's say JFK Airport, they've received almost 2.5 inches of rain. LaGuardia, though, on the other hand, has received just about an inch of rain. Nonetheless, there is still more precipitation to come. You can see the evolution of this heavy rain band throughout the course of the day today. A waterlogged I-95 corridor stretching from Boston all the way to the Big Apple, even towards Washington, D.C.
What people outside Florida are now dealing with. This is a high.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, thank you.
Children, well, you know when you get your license and they say don't drive in flooded water? This is why.
Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay.
Aber ich bin alles gekümmert, schon eigentlich alles gedacht.
Ay, 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 ay.
Oh, brother. My. Whoa, yun.